Greetings shippers, welcome back, and it's time for another edition of Fic Rec Friday, the series where I recommend a bunch of fanfics to you, some wrecked by me and some wrecked by you, although this time they'll all be wrecked by me because it is themed. This week is themed around IronStrange, and let me tell you how that happened, because we don't normally do such specific themes here, except for the first time, which was Cherik. That was way before this started to be a series. While I was researching the IronStrange vid, I read a lot of these fics, and some I thought would really be enjoyed. So why not? Let's wreck these fics. Of course, because this is Fic Rec Friday, I still have to do our disclaimer. You can expect to see a wide array of fics here on this series. Dark fics, taboo subjects, overplayed tropes, light and fluffy, AUs, pretty much anything you can think of, so it must be reiterated that this is not a bashing space. If a fic doesn't sound like will be for you, hopefully one of the other ones will be, so there's no need to seek out reader, writer, wrecker for harassment. Different strokes for different folks. Fandom can be fundum, but we do have to work to keep it that way. Quick, lickety-split. I think that's the fastest we've ever done it. So IronStrange, this is the pairing of Doctor Strange and Iron Man, aka Tony Stark. So we're gonna dive right in to all of this. Yeah. Our first fic is going to take us over to a trope that you will find fairly often in this fandom, especially at the start, and that is the getting these two characters together fic. Based on interactions that these two had in Infinity War, it was just as snarky and bantery as some people were imagining. As a result, in the headcanons of some, the idea was these two would need a little extra push to get together. This fic is one of those. This is Archie Levinson Party for Two by Paroma. One chapter, word count 2,659. In this fic, Wong and Peter are conspiring to get these two together, and they figure the only way to do it is to set them up on a blind date, but under the assumption that they're going to meet different people. Also, apologies to anyone who's actually named Archie Levinson. This one is quick, it's short, it's fun and cute. If you like matchmaking fics and characters trying to go around and be sneaky behind other characters' backs but not being the best at it, but the other characters still somehow being oblivious, just farcical, then this is definitely for you. But Tony and Steven are still very much in character. Everyone is. It doesn't feel like it's too outside the box. It's fun. We're starting off fun because it's gonna get dark, as you can imagine. Dust. Next up, we're going into the realm of a more caring fic and dealing with something that a lot of these fics do deal with, which is Stephen Strange's injuries, specifically to his hands. The origin of Doctor Strange involves the destruction of his hands, and the idea that they are very much reconstructed with metal pins and scarring, and that they constantly cause him pain and they tremble. A lot of it is suppressed by magic, but if he just lets himself be, they are very much just not in a usable state for the most part. This fic deals with Tony taking notice of that and doing something to try and make him a bit more comfortable. This fic is called Sleight of Hands by Stark Raving Strange. One chapter, word count 2,672. In this fic, Tony notices that whenever he has the crew around to eat, Steven doesn't keep calling him Steven like I know him. We're on a first name basis, me and Doctor Strange. Wherein he notices that Doctor Strange doesn't really eat when they're having communal meals. And he finally clicks that's because he has to use utensils. So, in an effort of kindness that he doesn't feel the need to brag about, he just starts ordering a lot of finger foods. Doctor Strange notices and is very appreciative, and the two grow closer. It's a very sweet fic about understanding in these two's relationship and how it could be a bit special and separate from the rest of the Avengers. It also is not a bashing fic towards the Rogue Avengers, because I know some people want the bashing, but some people don't, so it really depends. You can find both in this fandom. So if you want some together Tony who's not dealing with too much angst, he's actually doing alright, taking care of Stephen Strange, this is a fic for you. Believe me, in some of these fics, Tony is not okay. Tony is often not okay in the fandom. Wump everywhere. The next fic is actually by the same author, who has a decent amount of IronStrange fics in the fandom, so if you end up liking that first one, there are others by the same author that you can read, such as this next one. We're gonna get a bit more magical. This fic is called Stop in the Name of ... or ellipses. 2 chapters, word count 7,006. This fic is actually part 3 of a series, the Stop series, but you can read it on its own. It's actually how I read it, just stumbled upon it, read it, and then went back and read the first 2, so it very much can stand alone. In this fic, Tony's puttering around his lab, you know, as he does, when Wong suddenly appears and he needs to go with him right now because Steven's been possessed and they need his arc reactor technology to help depossess him. So of course, well, Tony's up for that, so he goes, but The demon there starts to say things to him, tell him things that he's always wanted to hear, and potentially reveal some of Doctor Strange's hidden secrets, and some of Tony's as well. It's a really good possession fic, one that deals with some of the elements of having to confront a demon without going full horror or exorcism. It's also got that vicarious embarrassment factor, because this is all happening in front of all of the sorcerers, because of course it is. This fic is one of those ones with a middling amount of angst, and it comes from the situation and not from what the characters are going through. So if that's something you prefer for these characters, then this one is definitely worth a read. And just when the demon is speaking through Steven, chills, just absolute chills. If you're a fan of those kind of works where the demon takes over the body and starts trying to pretend they're the person, mwah, you need to read this fic. So all of this has been pretty fun, pretty light. Let's get dark. Straight up darkness and sadness. Fic 4 is going to take us to a world where people were creating their own endgame. In the gap, people tried to fill it in with what they imagined would happen, or simply find a way to reconcile that so that they could have the pairing occur. So this is a world wherein Tony has made it to the endgame. He's solved everything, but at great cost to himself. This fic is called Ignite by golden_asp. One chapter, word count 14,803. Again, read the tags. Tags are your friend. In this fic, Tony managed to gather all the stones he needed and snap the gauntlet. However, the sacrifice he had to make for the Soul Stone is destroying him, and no one knows exactly who he sacrificed. All they can see are the after effects. This Tony is scarred, in pain because of the effects of the gauntlet, and also has returned to alcoholism because he can't handle who he had to sacrifice. This fic is not the kindest to the other Avengers, but it's also not the worst. They're just in tone with if people never really talked about Civil War, which in a sense they didn't. So it very much feels in line with that kind of universe, where nobody really fully dealt with all of that. The only person who's there for Tony in this world and is willing to put up with all he's going through is Stephen Strange. This is a fic about Stephen patiently being there for Tony as he puts himself back together. It's a slow burn and very much a character study of Tony. If you like angst and the idea of Tony finally being able to move on and relinquish all the Iron Man stuff and a different look at the endgame, then this is definitely a fic for you. Also with some IronStrange sprinkled on top. Who doesn't want that? Lots of people probably. For Fic 5, we're gonna go to a world where Doctor Strange isn't alright. A lot of these IronStrange fics deal with Tony. Tony's PTSD, Tony's angst, all those things have been firmly established. However, sometimes you'll get to look on the flip side, like this fic does. This fic deals with the consequences of Doctor Strange having to look through all of those futures. What did that mean? How much time did he spend there? And does he remember all of it? And if so, what is it doing to him? In this fic, bad things. Bad things. This fic is called Day 1 by Days for Daisy. One chapter, word count 5,683. Also, read the tags for this one, there are some sensitive topics. In this fic, Doctor Strange sometimes finds himself flashing to other timelines, thinking he's a part of them and feeling that something has gone horribly wrong and that he's trapped there. This is a post-Infinity War fic written as if Endgame has already occurred, and Tony and all of them have dealt with it. It deals with a universe where after the Thanos threat was defeated, everybody thought that they were just going to go back to normal and things would be fine. But as the years have gone by, they found that they're not fine and they're still dealing with the effects, especially Doctor Strange. In this fic, Tony and Doctor Strange are already together in a more casual sense, but they're building towards something more. When Tony comes over to visit at the Sanctum and finds that Doctor Strange has attempted to kill himself. However, Doctor Strange insists that he didn't mean to do it. It was an accident because of the confusion caused by all of the different timelines playing out in his head. In an attempt to help him, Tony invites him to stay with him for a weekend at the compound. They'll invite Peter over, it'll just be a good time, and they'll just try and rebuild and forget about it. As the title of this suggests, it's Day 1, the first day they spend together. This is a hopeful fic, but one that also deals quite interestingly with the potential consequences of time walking. Not quite time traveling, but experiencing all of these different timelines. If you're someone who thinks that that would have a negative effect on you, this might be a fic you want to explore. It's also really sweet. It's got a really good blend of fluff and angst. Sometimes those two things just work so well together. And for our last fic, 6, well, this is going to be a bit different. This one is a work in progress. I don't often rec work in progress because sometimes for some people they really bother them. Works in progress are quite common in fandom. Just works that get started, have a good momentum, and then are abandoned for one reason or another. Sometimes life gets in the way, sometimes people lose track of the plot, and sometimes they just fall out of the fandom before they finish. This one still has the potential of being finished, but we'll see. This fic is a Strange or Supreme family fic, that being the new Super Family 2.0. Tony, Steven, and Peter. And this fic deals with the formation of that familial unit. It is a slow burn of all of them discovering what kind of relationship they're starting to have with each other. This fic is called The Spider and the Sorcerer by WIX2. 34 chapters, word count 97,287. This fic starts out very Peter-centric, where he's trying to hang out more with Doctor Strange because he thinks that he's lonely and could use the company and finds him interesting. However, Tony's not quite sold on Doctor Strange just yet and is a bit concerned that Peter's spending so much time there, so he goes over to make sure he's okay, but finds himself actually not minding Doctor Strange too much. Slowly, the three become friends and eventually start to become something more, a family. This fic feels so complete in terms of its world building and its character building that even if it never gets finished, it's still such a satisfying read just to be in that world with these characters as they are. The dialogue, the depth of feeling, the action scenes, the moments, like you really get sucked into this one. I can't recommend it enough, even if it doesn't ever get finished, it's fine. It's got a great credible building of Peter and Doctor Strange's relationship, which is fantastic, and not a lot of people focus too much on that element. So yeah, if you want to dive into the Strange family, yes, it's long, but it's worth it. So none of these fics I read today were actually over Steve Rogers bashy, which can be a thing because, as mentioned in the IronStrange video, some people came to this pairing after Civil War and weren't Team Cap at all. So when it comes to character bashing, mileage varies. Some don't want any of it, and some are willing to accept it if it stays at a more manageable level and people who still like the character aren't attacked. For me personally, bashing can be really interesting if they manage to keep it within the confines of what the character has actually done, so the character doesn't become OOC or become a completely crazed Hail Hydra version of themselves, but instead is acting upon the logic of what they actually did in the story. And there are some very credible Dark Steve fics because of that, or just Jerk Steve. There's a way to work it where it still works within the confines of the universe. However, for those who don't want any of that and are here for Steve-friendly fics, most of these are, so yay, thumbs up. Sometimes a character bashing fic can be quite cathartic. However, as mentioned and must be reiterated, it goes too far when people who enjoy that character are themselves being bashed. It's all about that separation and keeping it a fun space. So I do not have any fics wrecked by you because this was kind of impromptu, just all of these IronStrange fics that were just building up and had to be shared in case some people were looking for them. Let me know if you like these more dedicated fic rec videos. But of course, we'll also have to do ones with fics wrecked by you because I love all of your recs. And please leave some down below, and they don't have to be IronStrange either, it's fine. All of the recs, please. Thanks so much, as always, for taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing, in this case, fics with me. I always appreciate it. I hope that you find some that you enjoy, and if not, we have plenty of other fic rec videos. There's the playlist over there for you to click on that you might find something else, and of course the recs that people leave down below. So question before you go, what kind of fics have you been binging lately? Let me know down below. I don't have to tell you to number it because it's one question, but please, if you can, still leave me an essay comment. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. I will see you again when I can, and until then, let's get to the outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.